Threads of time. We often think of our lives as linear, a simple progression from past to present, from one event to the next. But what if that's not the whole story? What if our identities, our choices, and even our struggles are part of something much larger, threads woven together over generations? Imagine that every decision you make, every fear you face, every spark of ambition is influenced by a web of memory, legacy, and destiny that stretches far beyond your own life. This idea isn't just poetic or philosophical. In recent years, science has begun to reveal that our lives may indeed be connected to those who came before us in surprising ways. Through fields like epigenetics, psychology, and cultural memory studies, researchers are finding that our very genes, our memories, and even our sense of self are shaped not only by our own experiences, but by those of our ancestors. Trauma, legacy, even patterns of behavior. All these may be part of an inherited script. But these ideas aren't only confined to scientific journals. They're also explored in some of our most beloved stories and myths. Take the Song of Achilles book, where the hero's destiny is written into his very being, his choices influenced by a prophecy as ancient as his lineage. Or the Wheel of Time book series, where souls are woven and rewoven into an eternal pattern, each life tied to those that came before. And what about the Persona 5 video game, a story of confronting the shadows of our pasts, both personal and inherited, to unlock true potential? These aren't just stories, they're reflections of the scientific mysteries that we're only beginning to understand. In this journey, we'll unravel 5 key threads: the scars of inherited trauma, the invisible power of collective memory, the fragile nature of memory itself, the possibility of reincarnation and cyclical existence, and the myths and stories we inherit that shape our very identities. Each chapter draws from the rich narratives of these stories and grounds them in real science, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom, cultural heritage, and modern discovery. So as we begin, consider this. How much of who you are is yours alone? And how much of your life's path has been shaped by threads of time, woven into a tapestry that stretches far beyond your lifetime? Let's explore the answers together. History isn't just a collection of dates and events. It's alive. It lives in our actions, our values, in the choices we make each day. Imagine that your identity, who you are and what you value, is a mosaic of voices, stories, and whispers from those who walked before you. Every culture, every family, every individual carries a thread that's woven into a tapestry of collective memory. And these memories flow within us as naturally as our own blood. This concept, known as collective memory, was introduced by sociologist Maurice Halbwachs. Halbwachs believed that memory isn't an isolated act, it's something shaped within a community, molded by shared values and societal expectations. It's the reason family traditions endure, the reason societies remember victories and tragedies, and why certain rituals make us feel connected to something larger than ourselves. In Foundation, Isaac Asimov explores this idea through a character named Harry Seldon, who develops a science known as psychohistory. Seldon believes that by understanding humanity's collective patterns and motivations, he can predict and even shape the future of civilizations. Foundation isn't about individual memories, it's about the larger currents of humanity's shared memory, the collective experiences and responses that steer history itself. Psychohistory reflects how shared values and societal memory shape the future, much like our own cultural rituals influence how we live and think today. This concept of collective influence also appears in the Wheel of Time, where life itself is portrayed as part of a vast, interconnected pattern. In this world, each character is a thread woven into the larger tapestry of existence. Their lives, actions, and destinies aren't isolated. They influence and are influenced by the threads that came before and those that will come after. The Wheel of Time reminds us that each choice we make resonates beyond the present, linking us to the past and the future. And while these ideas may sound philosophical, they're deeply rooted in psychology. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, spoke of a collective unconscious, a kind of shared mental reservoir of symbols and archetypes that transcend culture and time. Archetypes like the hero, the mother, or the trickster recur across mythologies and histories because they resonate on a universal level embedded within us all. Studies in cultural psychology show that rituals, symbols, and shared stories serve as memory anchors, grounding us within a collective identity. They're not just habits, they're connections to a deeper part of ourselves and our shared humanity. But collective memory isn't solely about unity and celebration. It also preserves cultural wounds, moments of collective suffering. For communities that have endured oppression, conflict, or displacement, collective memory can bear the weight of trauma. During times of social struggle or identity crisis, these communities turn to symbols, songs, and rituals that embody survival and resilience, keeping the spirit of resistance alive. So the next time you follow a family tradition, gather for a cultural celebration, or feel moved by a symbol of resilience, remember it's more than just a routine. It's an anchor, a way of connecting yourself to something far older and greater than you alone. Through these symbols and stories, we find strength, continuity, and a place within the vast tapestry of humanity. And as we pass down these stories, these memories, we're not only honoring the past, but actively shaping the future. Imagine that every cherished memory you hold, moments of joy, sorrow, love, might be a little off. Not necessarily false, but shaped, reshaped, and sometimes distorted by your mind. We like to think of memory as a record, a reliable archive, but what if I told you that our memories are more like stories, rewritten with each recollection, vulnerable to outside influence? One of the most striking explorations of memory manipulation can be found in Christopher Nolan's Inception. In the film, memories are crafted, altered, and even implanted through dreams, with each layer of memory drawing characters further from reality. Dom Cobb, the protagonist, grapples with memories of his late wife, whose image haunts his subconscious. Cobb's memories are so altered that he questions his grasp on reality. This fictional portrayal taps into a very real, very human truth. Our memories are fragile and easily shaped by suggestion and perspective. This isn't just Hollywood drama, it's science. Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, a cognitive psychologist, demonstrated through extensive research that memories can be manipulated. In her studies, participants were convinced they remembered events that never happened, simply through the power of suggestion, known as the false memory phenomenon. This research shows how easily our memories can be influenced and, in extreme cases, fabricated entirely. Let's bring in Persona 5, a game where characters confront distorted versions of themselves, manifestations of repressed memories and hidden fears. The characters face their shadows, representing the parts of their psyche they refuse to acknowledge. Through battling these as shadows, they reconcile with painful memories and transform those memories into empowerment. In a way, Persona 5 presents a metaphor for confronting and healing the parts of ourselves shaped by the past. Science backs up the malleability of memory. Neuroscientists like Xu Liu and Steve Ramirez have successfully implanted false memories in mice, triggering specific neurons to remember experiences the animals never actually had. This groundbreaking study suggests that if memories can be induced, they can be manipulated and perhaps even erased. It opens up fascinating, if unsettling, questions about the nature of memory and reality. The concept goes further with a process called reconsolidation. When we recall a memory, it becomes temporarily malleable, allowing details to change before being stored again. This process has immense therapeutic potential, as it suggests memories associated with trauma could be altered, potentially relieving individuals of pain associated with past events. So, what does this mean for us? Firstly, it's a reminder that our memories are stories, not scripts. They shift, adapt, and sometimes even deceive us. To keep memories rooted in truth, use tools like journaling or photographs, anchors that capture moments more accurately than our minds ever can. And if there's a painful memory that surfaces again and again, remember that just like in Persona 5, facing it head-on can lead to healing. Our memories are not set in stone, they're dynamic, alive, and within our power to reshape. What if life wasn't a straight line but a loop? What if, instead of moving from one point to the next, we exist in a cycle, continually returning, growing, and transforming? Imagine if every ending was just a new beginning, a constant return. For thousands of years, humans have entertained this concept, weaving it into myths, religions, and philosophies. Today, some scientists are even asking whether there's a basis for reincarnation in the structure of reality itself. In the Wheel of Time, the world is built on the concept of reincarnation, with lives repeating and souls reborn in each new turn of the wheel. Here, characters are not merely individuals with singular, linear lives. They're reincarnations of souls from past ages, carrying forward ancient struggles, loyalties, and destinies. Each turn adds a new layer to the tapestry of life shaped by previous cycles. It's a powerful metaphor for the cyclical nature of existence, a belief that who we are today is woven from lives that came before and will ripple into lives yet to come. This theme of cyclical existence is mirrored in Darren Aronofsky's film, The Fountain, where characters across different lifetimes seek answers to life's ultimate questions about love and death. We see these same souls echoing across time, suggesting a kind of eternal return, a bond that transcends individual lives and forms a cycle of existence that's continuous and unbreakable. Science approaches this from a different angle. Dr. Jim Tucker at the University of Virginia has studied thousands of cases where children report past life memories. One famous example is Ryan Hammons, a young boy who accurately described details of a past life as a Hollywood actor, details later verified by researchers. Dr. Tucker's studies raise intriguing questions about whether certain memories or even aspects of personality could somehow transcend individual lives. Then there's the quantum perspective, a speculative but fascinating approach to consciousness. Some physicists propose that consciousness could be a fundamental part of the universe, existing outside the brain and potentially persisting after physical death. This idea, known as quantum immortality, aligns with the cyclical nature of life depicted in The Wheel of Time and The Fountain. In this framework, death is not an end, but a transition, a return to the fabric of existence that continues infinitely. For many, these ideas aren't just about returning in another life, but about seeing the world and themselves as part of a larger cycle. Samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth in Eastern philosophies, teaches that every action, every decision carries forward to shape future lives. It's a call to live mindfully, to see our choices as threads woven into a vast tapestry of existence. So what do we take away from this idea of cyclical existence? First, it invites us to see life's endings as new beginnings, whether it's the end of a chapter, a relationship, or a role. We're reminded that nothing is truly lost, it merely transforms. And perhaps the greatest gift of this perspective is the encouragement to live with intention. If every action echoes across lifetimes, then each choice matters, each kindness, each mistake. We may not know if we'll return, but by embracing the cycle, we live in a way that honors both the past and the future. Imagine if the path you walk was already laid out by those who came before, a destiny woven into the very fabric of your family's story, your culture's myths, your society's ideals. What if you didn't just inherit your eye color or your laugh, but also the choices, beliefs, and even the struggles of generations past? It's the idea that legacy isn't just something we leave behind. It's something we carry with us, often without even realizing it. To understand how inherited stories shape who we are, let's look to The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This retelling of Homer's Iliad dives into the psychology of Achilles, a hero both burdened and defined by a legendary destiny. Achilles is born with a prophecy that he will either live a short life of glory or a long, unremarkable existence. He becomes obsessed with this legacy, feeling its weight press upon him from childhood. His sense of self, his relationships, and even his death are inextricably tied to this inherited story. A heroic narrative he feels compelled to fulfill, regardless of the personal cost. The Song of Achilles speaks to something profound in our own lives. While we may not have oracles dictating our futures, many of us live under the weight of family expectations, cultural roles, or inherited ideals. This isn't just about individual choice, it's about social identity theory, which tells us that we often define ourselves by the groups we belong to, our families, cultures, or communities. These identities come with narratives and archetypes that we internalize, consciously or not, shaping our values and decisions. In a way, we're all heroes, tricksters, or sages within the larger story of our heritage. This theme is echoed in The Wheel of Time, where characters are reincarnations of ancient heroes, each tasked with roles in an eternal battle between good and evil. They don't just live individual lives, they embody roles that have existed for countless generations. Each character's destiny is tied to the wheels turning, as their actions, relationships, and struggles repeat across ages. This cyclical return to past identities reinforces the idea that we're shaped by forces larger than ourselves, a web of beliefs and values passed down, binding us to the destinies of those who came before. Psychology offers insight here. Behavioral epigenetics has shown that environmental factors, even cultural stressors, can alter gene expression across generations. Our biology adapts to the stories we live, carrying traces of ancestral responses to survival, trauma, and resilience. Imagine this. The choices your ancestors made in times of adversity didn't just affect their lives, they affected yours. Studies have found that the descendants of trauma survivors often carry heightened sensitivity to stress, as if their bodies remember the hardships their ancestors endured. We inherit not just our grandparents' physical traits, but their psychological responses to a world that demanded strength, courage, and resilience. And yet, we're not bound to these roles without agency. In Foundation, Isaac Asimov's epic series, the protagonist Harry Seldon uses psychohistory, a science that predicts societal patterns, to shape the future. Seldon believes that by understanding the cycles of history, humanity can be guided toward a brighter destiny. Foundation reminds us that understanding our past, our inherited myths, can give us power over our future. We may walk paths laid out by our forebears, but knowing their stories empowers us to choose our own steps. This brings us to an empowering realization. Understanding our inherited narratives allows us to shape them. We are heirs to legacies of courage, resilience, and wisdom. But these stories can evolve. We don't have to carry forward the burdens of those who came before. Instead, we can choose which aspects of our legacy to honor, redefine, or leave behind. So, the next time you feel the weight of expectation or find yourself following a family tradition, pause and ask yourself, what story am I carrying forward? What values do I want to inherit and pass on? Legacy isn't just about the past, it's a living tapestry we're all a part of. By understanding and embracing our stories, we gain the power to be both authors and characters, shaping a narrative that future generations will inherit. Remember, while destiny may be a gift, shaping it is our choice. And so we arrive at the end of our journey, woven through the threads of time, discovering that our lives are anything but isolated. We've unraveled the unseen ties that connect us to the past, ties that span through memory, legacy, and the inescapable pull of destiny. The journey has shown us that our identities are part story, part science, part something mysterious, an inheritance shaped by experiences we may never fully understand but can choose to honor, reshape, or carry forward us. From the genetic imprints of trauma to the collective memory that lives in our communities, from the fragile, ever-shifting nature of memory to the cyclical journey hinted at in reincarnation, we're reminded that we're not merely products of our choices. In the Song of Achilles, we saw how myth and legacy shape the destiny of a hero, with every choice carrying echoes of an ancient story. In the Wheel of Time, each life is woven into an eternal pattern, a reminder that the lives we lead are connected to those who walked before us, and will connect to those who come after. And now, with this knowledge, we stand at a new beginning. While the stories of the past might define our starting points, it's our choices that define what we will pass down. We have the power to recognize the threads we carry, to choose which we weave into the future and which we let go. In doing so, we shape a new tapestry for generations yet to come, a legacy of resilience, understanding, and self-awareness.